Okay, it's 6:30. Welcome to the July 15 meeting of Wayne Select Board. All the board members and the town manager are present. Let's begin tonight's meeting with Pledge of Allegiance. And I moved it, so we don't have to say it's in the back of the room anymore.
Hey.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You probably remember when they revised that thing. They did, they
Added under God.
Yeah, that was sometime 1954 or so.
Really? That's about right, yeah.
Good year, I'd say.
Okay, we're down to agenda item number 4, consider additional business not included on the published agenda. Has everybody had an opportunity to review the agenda?
Yes.
Does anyone want to propose adding any additional business to tonight's meeting? Okay. I'm gonna make one proposal that's short. I would consider adding, under 8C, which is the appointment policy. I want to add, consider filling one of the 2 planning board vacancies in advance of formalizing a board and committee appointment policy. Add that to item 8C. Is there any objection to that?
Nope.
Okay. So agenda item 5, conflicts of interest. Does anyone have any conflicts respecting our business tonight? No. Okay. Item 6, meeting minutes. 6A is approve the meeting minutes for the 2025 annual town meeting. Those minutes are on pages 4 to 16 of our packet. The draft minutes. Have we all had a chance to review the town meeting minutes? Does anyone have any changes to recommend? Would anyone like to make a motion?
Move we approve minutes for the annual town meeting,
Okay.
June 10th and 11th, 2025.
Second?
Any discussion? All in favor? Okay, the motion to approve the minutes passes 5-0. Agenda item 6B, consider approving the select board meeting minutes for July 1st, 2025. That's on pages 17 and 18 of the packet. Have we all had an opportunity to review draft minutes?
Yes.
Does anyone have any changes to recommend? Would someone like to make a motion on that?
I'll move we approve the select board meeting minutes for July 1st, 2025.
Okay, any discussion?
Wait a minute, you want a second?
Oh, yeah, I do. I'm
Second?
sorry. Any discussion? All in favor? Okay, the motion to approve the meeting minutes from the last board meeting are passed 5-0. Moving on to item 7, warrants and donations. Item 7A is to consider approving payroll number 1 in the amount of $83,8807. Shannon, do you have anything to tell us about that?
No.
Okay. Any board members have any questions about it?
No.
Okay, I'll go ahead and make a motion on this to approve payroll number 1 in the amount of $83,8807.
Second.
Board member discussion? Any public comment on this motion? Vote, all in favor? Okay, the motion to approve the payroll warrant passes 5-0. Agenda item 7B is to consider approving accounts payable number 57. That's for the last fiscal year in the amount of $53,193. Shannon, do you have anything to tell us about this one?
So looking at warrant 57, this is receipts that we've received for fiscal year 25. So you'll see that there are 2 warrants on this. This one is that one for 25. Under here, you've received a memo just listing a couple of considerations. One is the vendor 196 CH Stevenson. So that's just reflecting invoice 66424 for extra and equipment for $12,002. And the contract price was for $10,500. There was an additional invoice for that. So this is an additional $12,002 for equipment and extra labor. And so that was charged for the hauling of town provided materials. In previous years, there was also an additional charge of $9,339.50 added to the contract price of $10,000. That was in November of 2023. And so just some considerations there with the contract as you see it. Other comments for payroll, or excuse me, accounts payable 57. You'll see the Elon Financial Services and the M&J PC repair. Those both include costs for repairing and replacing computers in the office.
You had talked about the annual bump that we're getting with these students in contract. And suggested we take a look at just increasing the budget for that because versus getting a bump. Do you
Yeah,
have any open actions on that or?
there's no open actions right now. So under the considerations I listed, there's a proposed contract and it goes until June 30th of 2026. That contract was currently, as it's written, not signed by either party, but the bidding proposal was signed by the previous manager. And in it, I mean, there's no definition for additional grading services or what the cost breakdown is for those additional services. So just some considerations, but there hasn't been any additional action or anything yet proposed. But might be worth looking at. I did speak with the contractor and they said that typically for grading services, we should be looking at about $50,000 per year. And currently we have $21,000 budgeted.
So what, do you have a recommendation about this? I'm a little bit confused as to what is coming to the bottom line here.
Well, as of right now, I mean, in past practices, we have just paid this.
Yes.
I think that we should still pay this. We have agreed to this service. But I think it is something to consider as we move forward.
Yeah.
For any other grading services that we receive.
So we at this would call for a change in the budget then?
Not at this time.
No, okay.
I mean, we can't change the budget. We'd have to ask the town meeting to do that. And so Shannon, this payment to Stevenson, that exceeded the budget item for grading. But there was still money left in road maintenance to cover that. Is that correct?
That is true, yes.
Okay.
Okay, agenda item 7C. Well, wait, we didn't vote on
We
this.
didn't vote on.
Let's have a,
I move we approve the amount in amount accounts payable warrant in the amount of 52,193.16.
Second.
any more board member discussion on it? Any public comments on this item? Okay, let's vote. All in favor? So the motion to approve accounts payable warrant 57 passes 5-0. Agenda item 7C is to consider approving accounts payable number 2 in the amount of $274,413.83. You told us about the vendor item 875. Anything else?
Nope, the other ones that you'll see on there is Maine Municipal Association. That's just half of the insurance for the annual budget, according to the annual budget. And then the monthly costs for these schools are starting again.
Anyone have any questions for Shannon from the board?
Yeah, what did you say the Harris local government one is?
So for the Harris, we had $18,000 budgeted for the software. That falls under our general administration block. But so we'll still have potentially some money to cover there, but as of right now, that's $1,650 over budget.
And that's for Trio?
That's for Trio.
And that's annual.
That's annual.
Mm.
And that was, that assessment was based off of previous years. In 2023, they charged $15,495. In 2024, it was $16,500. 2025, it was $17,900. And so this year it is $19,650.
Maybe we could make a note for the budget process. Next year, we can give them a call and ask them if they can tell us what the rate's gonna be when we're making the budget.
Me to make a motion there, Henry?
Yes, ma'am.
Move we approve accounts payable number 2 in the amount of $274,413.83.
Second.
Any other discussion by the board members? Any public comment on this item? Okay, all in favor? Okay, the motion to approve accounts payable number 2 passes 5-0. Agenda item 7B is to consider accepting donations in the amount of $4,185 to supplement the existing appropriation for the LAD Recreation Center programs. Anything to tell us about this one, Shannon?
This just reflects the money that's come in for the summer camps, the daycare, the other programs and donations for the Lad Rec Center.
Okay. Would someone like to make a motion?
Motion, we approve accepting the donations in the amount of $4,185 to supplement the existing programs.
Second.
Any more board discussion? Public comment on this motion? All in favor? Okay, the motion to accept the Lad Center donation passes 5-0. Okay, moving on to section 8 of the agenda, old business. Item 8A is to consider updates to the town of Wayne ethics policy. In our last meeting, there was an agenda item to review the ethics policy and sign a certification to confirm that we reviewed it. And the version provided at that time was the 2007 Code of Ethics. That's on the town's website. But Lloyd noted that he believed a newer, more comprehensive code had replaced it. And Shannon found an unsigned copy of a more recently revised Code of Ethics. That more recent code is printed. It's in the left-hand column of a 2-column document that I sent out on an email, and also it's included on pages 26 through 33 of tonight's package. The right-hand column of that same document offers some streamlined and clarified language, courtesy of Microsoft Copilot, without altering the code's meaning. I would suggest that our first task is to decide if we want to keep the 2007 code, or do we want to adopt an updated code? Any ideas or discussion on that task?
What was the difference between the one we were looking at last week, last time, and the one in the left-hand column?
The one in the left-hand column is longer and more comprehensive. That's the long and the short. I did not, we don't have a red line comparing the two. I think the 2007 is probably fine. I think the newer one, a prior board apparently believed that it needed to be revised. It just didn't get executed apparently and put on the website. It's also good.
I appreciate the fact that it's been trimmed down and is very clear and easy to read.
Yeah, but first, do we want to do the new one instead of the 2007 one? I think that's our first.
The new one being the one that we.
The new one being the one, yeah,
On
those
the
are both
right-hand
new ones.
column.
It's just two versions of the new.
Okay, that's what I was,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah, we don't want, do we want the old one to stay that we saw last time?
right, I don't think so. I think this is comprehensive and accurate.
So my problem is I
And-
didn't pick up that this was different than the one that we reviewed, so I don't have the deltas from the 2007. It makes sense to move to the modernized
Yeah.
one. So we had the 2007 one,
Yes, ma'am.
and then we made changes. No?
No, we didn't
Oh,
change
this
it.
wasn't the one we did. Okay.
We didn't know, we changed the bylaws. We didn't change this one. We were going to just sign a certification, and Lloyd mentioned that he thought there was a newer and better version. And there was.
I would just say that sometimes a more comprehensive the ethics code's a good idea, even though it makes it longer and somewhat harder to absorb. I've seen ethics codes for professional groups that fed out one sheet of paper, and I've been ever since advocating against that, only nobody listens. Well,
And as far as the difference between the right and the left ones, Hazel, those are side by side.
Right, that's what I,
Yeah, yeah,
I
those-
went
those-
down through
Yeah,
those.
those are side by side.
Comparing
but-
those, it
yeah.
made more sense to adopt the one on the right and the one on the
Yeah,
left,
yeah.
but what I didn't have was the delta between the one on the left.
Well, we would have had to do
Oh,
some kind of a document compare, and that comes out really
yeah.
messy.
I did go section by section, but I don't know from the existing. Where we might be gaining or losing anything of any material impact, so I didn't get down to that level. Looking at these two, it is nice, the Copilot version is clean and simple, easy to navigate. But again, while I appreciated it, I haven't gone fine tooth comb to see, is there anything that, you know, work with AI all the time and you wanna
Yeah.
trust but verify?
No, well, when I kind of did this paragraph by paragraph as far as the AI, and sometimes I took it and sometimes I didn't. And sometimes I took part of it.
I
So,
didn't,
but
I've
this is
been,
your version of, this isn't the direct Copilot, you're saying you are.
No, I went by I asked Copilot for each paragraph to give me a rewrite, and it gives you three options, and you can look at them and you can pick and choose what you want or parts of it.
Okay, so you've already done the editing though, you've
I've,
had guardrails on this, you're on.
yes,
Okay,
yes.
okay. Sorry.
And there's also some,
No, I'm
you know, there's also, a few formatting deals, like the bullet points under definitions for
Yeah.
elected officials. I mean, Copilot didn't do that. I did that.
It's helpful though.
And there's also a change under the legal standards. There was a statute that was miscited down there, 20A.
Oh.
MRSA, really, that should be 21A. No, I've gone through it.
oh, I see.
And so we think we should use a new version as opposed to the old 2007 version. Is that fair as our consensus?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Hazel, okay, all right. So then the next point is we can take the right column, we can take the left column, we can mix the columns up if we want to go through it piece by piece. It means the same thing in both. I think either of them would be fine. I think the right-hand column is a little more concise and clear.
Well, it's kind of King James on the left and NIV on the right, I guess, is one way to look at it, but is there any style guide that we are supposed to be adhering to? There's no, you mentioned Robert's Rule of Order farther into the documents and stuff like that. Is there anything that there should be a little bit more language just because that is the,
I don't believe that there's a style guide for our policies, other than they should be clear and understandable and concise.
okay. Okay.
I think that's been achieved on the right-hand version.
Okay, so. I'll make a motion that we modify the Town of Wayne Code of Ethics to conform with the document that's on the right-hand side of this two-column document that we've been looking at.
Second.
Uh,
Oh, you're not done?
no, that's good.
Second.
Any discussion further?
Well, I think I'd like more time to review it because it wasn't what I expected. I
Okay,
thought so what I reviewed was this one to that one, but I didn't do a detailed read.
yeah,
And really what you're saying is we're adopting a whole new policy that's
Yeah.
an AI version of a newer policy that,
yeah, the policy that the board adopted is on the left-hand side. That,
It was drafted.
maybe they did, that the board drafted, and it's got all the signature lines on it, but it isn't signed, and it's not on the website, so I don't know what the scoop is on it.
and what date was that?
Doesn't have a date,
It's
but it
3 or
was,
4 years ago.
yeah, all I can tell you is Don Welsh was still on the board. And that's about the only way that I have to date it,
It's
yeah.
just got lost in the shuffle. But we can put it on the.
And we can table it, put it on the agenda for next time,
I prefer to take time to read through it.
all right, that's,
Between now and then, though, would we be choosing one version or the other, or having suggestions to have one complete version? to work with?
Good question.
well, it's, between these two that are on the column document,
Mhm.
Hazel, do you like the one on the right better?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then look at the one on the right alongside of the 2007 version, which is on the town website. And that's the comparison we need to do in the next meeting. Our choice will be to keep the 2007 or adopt this one on the right-hand column. Is that fair?
At that time, can we sign it?
Yeah.
Good.
You went through it, Henry, did you go through, we talked a little bit last time, committees, boards that no longer exist, does that apply to any of the town employees? These are all active roles? Is there
I
anything-
think these are all active employees who really do exist.
I think the only thing that was left out was bookkeeper, but I think that, it says such as, so I don't think we have to
Yeah.
name the bookkeeper in there. But I was
And they-
satisfied that we covered enough.
Yeah, and I think you're absolutely correct, Mary Ann. This list is examples.
Right.
At the last meeting, Hazel did make a comment, including but not limited to,
Okay,
if you wanted to add that.
Okay.
I think it would also include the recreation director. But including but not limited to.
And Henry, can you explain the difference, the left and the right? The item numbers are different? Do you know why that is? Like I'm looking at page 32. Item G on this side is penalties for violation. But it's item H on the right-hand side. So there's an item number that's
I'm
different.
sure one of them probably has a numbering glitch.
On the left, on the right, on the left side,
I
there's the
think
number.
on the left side, is there two C's?
There's an F and there's a G, well, wait a minute.
No, there's two C's, there's two
There are
C's.
two Cs.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's two C's on the left.
Okay,
And the numbers underneath the letters basically just reiterate exactly what was in bold on the left.
Yeah.
So you've just left that out. In many cases, this is down below. Where can I find it? The description, like, for example, in G, you have 1, 2, and 3
Mhm.
under G, but you've really covered it with the bold in that one paragraph, so I'm satisfied with that. And
Yeah,
to me, short and sweet
the-
and clear is
actually,
better.
that was one of the, that was, one of the, changes that was
Oh,
suggested.
mhm. Right, G would be compared with F. In that case. And H would be compared with, H on the right is
Yeah.
compared with G.
But like yes,
so in general, AI doesn't like bulleted paragraph? The sub,
I think it'll do bulleted paragraphs if you wanted to. Are we talking about F and G, which is the same?
well, I'm just comparing like. If you look at either G and H,
Have them
happens to be the one,
up above there.
uh,
Take care.
on this
Yeah.
side is number one elected
Okay,
officials, and on this side,
there's no 1, 2, 3.
there's no number on it.
I think it would put it in there if you wanted to, and if you like to number that, we can do that.
I think it's easier to refer to if we have numbered paragraphs.
Yeah.
Agreed.
I agree.
They broke from doing it earlier,
Consistently.
consistently, and then you stop.
Yeah,
It just.
I agree with that, that's a good point.
so we've tabled this until next week, our next meeting in 3 weeks. Item 8B. is review and consider Town of Wayne Select Board bylaw revisions. Okay, now. We proposed revisions to the board bylaws at our last meeting. And we've got another 2-column document on pages 34 to 45 of tonight's packet. Okay, the left-hand column, that's exactly what we changed to at the last meeting, and that's perfectly fine. The right-hand column contains a few revisions in language that are shaded. There's no changes in meaning, and those few revisions can be taken or left. You know, my personal view is the left-hand document is what we decided at our last meeting, and that works just fine. It's also my view that the right-hand document is a little better, but both are okay. So question is, do we want to just approve the left-hand document or consider the revised language in the shaded sections to the right? That's our first question. What do y'all think about that?
I'm always a fan of clarification and simplification. So in going through this, I liked what was on the right. And I would like to consider adopting that.
They have an identical meaning. There's no difference between what they mean.
That would involve adopting this as the whole, as a new policy,
Yeah,
the whole thing. That's reasonable.
I think the
Oh.
cleaned up version is maybe easier to read, so he's okay with that.
okay. Well, I'll make a motion that we revise the select board bylaws to reflect the text in the right-hand column of the document we've been reviewing.
So for, I so move.
A second?
Okay.
Oh,
That's
sorry about that.
No, that was good. Any other discussion? Public comments on that? Okay, let's vote. The motion to revise the bylaws to reflect the document on the right passes by 5-0. If you can make those changes and put it on the website. Right now, Shannon, it's under ordinances. I think it probably ought to go under policies.
Mhm.
And then we will sign it next week when it's printed out.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, agenda item 8C is to discuss board and committee appointment policy. Before we discuss the actual policy, I'd like to address the additional item that I asked us to add, that we added about appointing one planning board member pending finalizing the policy.
Mhm.
We've got 2 vacancies on the planning board. There is Andrew's 5-year term is vacant, and the balance of Tom's term is vacant now, which is 2 years. We don't have a policy. We're gonna talk about it here, but I believe this is not something that's easy, that we're going to adopt a new policy tonight. One thing we might want to do, I would hate to leave the planning board with 2 vacancies. I'm told that Andrew wants to continue. I understand the concerns that have been voiced about making these 5-year appointments without having a good policy and a procedure. One possibility was we could offer Andrew an appointment to the remaining term of Tom's position. And if he's willing to accept that, then it would be an appointment for 2 years. We leave the 5-year slot vacant and take care of that when we have a policy. That's just a suggestion. Or we can leave them both vacant, or we can move to secure applications from people without having a policy in place. I'll put this to y'all. What do you think about filling the 2-year vacancy?
I think that's a very expedient step to get us through the next couple of years and allow us to put a policy in place, which we discussed last year and was quite a conundrum and really needs to be addressed.
And the logic that I think adds to that is you've got someone who's certainly qualified and experienced being on the planning board, remains on the planning board. When you've got the fifth member, you're in a position for the board themselves to vote for the head of the board, correct?
And they could vote.
They vote Andrew right back in.
They have a quorum. They could vote for a chairman among their current members, the
Yeah.
four that are there.
Yeah.
And you have alternates that if they fall below a quorum, there's two alternates for the
Yes.
planning board. But that's really planning board business. I don't know what they will how they will decide to handle their housekeeping function of appointing a new
Right.
chair.
It seems neat to me, though, to allow, since the position is being vacated, or at least there's turnover, let's say. In the absence of a policy to say, what do you do with an incumbent who wants to continue? We're gonna formalize that. But yeah, that seems expedient and logical and reasonable all the way around.
So that still leaves planning board with a vacancy though?
Correct.
What's your opinion, having come off the planning board? What's your opinion on running with a vacancy?
And there's a vacancy for a full-time person. In the thing that we read, the one that was shared from Brunswick, it talked about alternates being given the opportunity to become a full-time board member. That seemed to make sense. I'm in favor of that. But I don't know if that completely fills a hole or enough alternates to round out, and then you look for an alternate. Should it work that way?
Well, one of the things we need to come up with a policy, because there are considerations. One possibility is, and it's been suggested, if an incumbent wants to stay on, they're on, unless they are a poor performer.
Yeah.
I think that's a terrible, terrible policy.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you why, because it gives that incumbent due process rights. And we have to find with a hearing that he's incompetent. That's not, and the same thing goes if we want to give an alternate a preference and then we decide not to. One possibility is to just open it up for anybody to apply, alternates, incumbents, new people, and then the board decides based on, this board decides based on the needs of the community and the functions of the board in question and their current makeup. And the incumbency can be a factor to be considered.
Yeah.
Experience as an alternate can be a factor to be considered. There's, but these are things that come into play in the policy.
There were good thoughts, of course, that I think everybody's seen that were submitted as well.
Yeah.
That I thought there was a lot of consideration and sensitivity that was highlighted and.
Yeah, the comments are good, and also what I'm saying may not be accepted. It's just, I'm just telling you what I think about it.
Yeah.
I think that, we kind of have two questions on this. There's a two-part question. And one part's easy and one part's hard. The first part is, do we want to have a formal policy? That's pretty straightforward. And I guess we should decide that. Is there a consensus? Or do we want to discuss more that we do want to put a formal policy into place for board appointments?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Which is what we talked about at the last
Yeah.
meeting, that
Okay.
I thought we were talking about having two tracks.
Yeah.
Filling the critical
Yeah.
vacancies based on past practice,
Mhm.
while we simultaneously work on a policy, understanding that it might take
Mhm.
longer to develop the policy than we would like to leave positions open,
Mhm.
which is why we've
I'm
taken that strategy. I
And-
thought.
concerned about the past practice only because some of the legal issues that Henry brought up. And I think that it sounds like the planning board is gonna be covered because they're alternates.
Mhm.
Is that correct? So with asking Andrew to fill out the 2 years,
Mhm.
since he wants to continue, and with alternates, it
Yeah.
seems like we may be able to move forward, and that should give us time
Yeah,
put a policy together. And we'll put this policy together, we will vote on it and it will become policy. we don't need to put this, this is not an ordinance.
No.
No,
So we
that's
don't need to put this to town.
So, but we need to find out from Andrew if he's interested in filling in that appointment to fill Tom's remaining term.
Yeah, and in my opinion, his decision may very well depend upon how it's presented.
Yeah,
As any of us would be,
Yeah,
in a
and,
similar situation.
yeah, I would present it in terms of, we're working on a policy for
Yeah.
appointing all open board positions.
Yep.
And many positions, we're not doing any appointments until the policy's done, but the planning board is short too.
Right.
And we would appreciate it if he wants to stay, if he would take the position for the 2 years.
And the question of a chair for the planning board in this interim period, and the easiest thing might be to just say, you would be officially just a board member like the rest of the planning board members, but in an interim capacity, we're going to need a chair, just for rules of conduct in the meetings and getting things going.
Well, I think the planning board ordinance says the planning board picks their chair.
Yeah.
And they'll have a quorum with 4 people. I think the 4 of them and whatever alternate is sitting in on that particular meeting can pick a chair.
I think that's the way it would work.
I don't see
Okay.
why they couldn't.
Yeah,
I
Yeah.
was thinking we might want to hold on to that until the formalities were decided,
Yeah,
because I would expect it to go right back to the way that it is. If
I would-
you gave it to them right
yeah.
now.
I would leave that up to the planning board, because I think that that's part of their self-governance, and I don't know that I have any business telling them how to pick their
it's
chair.
part of their ordinance.
Yeah, it is part of their ordinance says they're gonna pick their chair, and they govern themselves. I mean, we appoint their members, and that is our business, and we need to take care of it, but as far as how they want to run their business on picking a chairman, that's up to them. I would suggest.
I agree.
Are you gonna make that conversation with him, or will Shannon, or?
Uh,
I think it's the board.
I'm happy to talk to him, or why, we could delegate that to Tom.
I beat my neighbor.
Huh?
He lives right
Yeah.
next door. So I can have a beer with him tonight and say,
Does-
so this is a discussion. He's already aware of the fact that we're looking to across the board committees and
yeah.
boards. So he's well aware of that.
So how do we feel as a group about delegating the task to Tom to speak to Andrew?
Yeah, that's fine.
Anybody oppose that? Okay, and you're fine with it, Tom?
Perfectly fine.
Okay, okay, that business is done. It- We can have why don't we make a motion to appoint Andrew to fill Tom's unfilled vacancy on the planning board, subject to Andrew agreeing
Yeah.
to serve in that capacity.
So move.
Second,
Just any more discussion? Any public comment on that? Vote, all in favor? Okay, the motion to offer Andrew the position of Tom's expired term passes 5-0. Now, the rest of this, I sent out a paper with some bullet points at the last meeting that were things that I said we might want to consider about a committee ordinance. And things we have to look at on coming up with a policy, or not an ordinance, a policy, I'm sorry, on a policy is, do we have the same method of appointment for all positions, or do we have different methods for different positions? Do we take the same care in appointing somebody to the farmer's market committee as we do to the planning board? Okay. We need to decide what role incumbency plays in the process that we're gonna have. I think we need to decide how we weigh in this process. Our goal should be finding the best people given the current circumstances for these committees. Now, I don't think that, you know, there's a whole lot of people clamoring for all these high-paying jobs that I know of, but I think we want to fill with the best people, and sometimes I think that could call for turnover, even with a well-performing incumbent.
Yeah.
You may have somebody with a skill set that comes into town. You know, you might have a civil engineer that comes in with road experience and says, hey, I'd like to help the town on the road committee. You might have somebody with expertise that would help the planning board. So I think you want to round out your skill sets. You might want to, you might want to weigh in the fact that you want to have mentorship and get people for future service on it. If you've got a planning board that everybody's been on it forever, and I'm using planning board I should use export. You have export that everybody's been on it forever, and everybody's doing just fine and the board's working out okay. But you want to provide some continuity for the future. You may want to bring in some new blood. So I think there's reasons to maybe not extend a performing incumbent's term, and we need to address that in a policy. We certainly don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, but we have to decide what's our primary objective? To have everybody feel good or to have the best committee? We need to think about that. So, do we want to try to hash out a policy from scratch among the five of us at one or more meetings? Or maybe do we want to have a committee of maybe two of us and the town manager get together and make some recommendations and pros and cons to present back to the board? How do you all feel about the process for coming up with a policy?
I think it probably getting a couple people together to work on it, taking comments from the whole board, getting a couple pieces of people together to hammer it out would be probably the most expedient. And getting, reviewing process periodically and giving feedback. We have a wealth of information that's been provided between the email that you passed on, the MMA stuff, the town of Brunswick, which I thought was well-written, but, clearly for a much bigger task.
Yeah, I don't
I mean,
think
they-
we need a.
We don't need a committee.
I mean, they have 9 people on the
to-
board,
Yes.
No,
So I agree. It's a town council with, is it 7 or 9? I don't know.
9.
A 9,
Two of
okay,
them are at large.
okay.
But the thing is that they've clearly worked a lot of this through, and I think that this really provides a good framework for us to pull from.
Also, I would suggest we need to look at, when we're making a policy, some things might sound good, but then we have to consider, can we really do this? For
Right.
example, do we want to say, we're going to have performance standards for every board member, and we're going to evaluate them against these performance standards? Well,
Do we want
who's
to
gonna,
interview
who's gonna
everybody?
who's gonna write performance standards?
Yeah.
Who's gonna evaluate that? I guess it would be us, but what standing do we have as far as observing these people to make any
That's right.
any assessments as to whether they're competent or not competent? I think when we're looking at this, we need to try to make it, we're gonna do the best we can to put the best people on the board, whatever the board is, and trust them to do a good job.
Well,
And if it don't work out, then we'll have to fix it when the next vacancy comes out.
it can be as simple, some of those things can be on the solid waste committee. We've just recently said, listen, if you can't make it to most of the meetings, we'll consider you gone. And it could be as simple as that for starters. In terms of the other performance, the deep performance,
Yeah.
are you contributing all the time might be a little hard.
Yeah.
But I think a minimum,
Assuming you've got a good team. The
Right.
best ability is availability. right?
MMA kind of pushes performance standards and
Mhm.
evaluations, and I just don't know that that's something. I mean, we can say we're
Yeah.
gonna do that, but then I suspect we're never ever gonna get it done.
Well, let's be pragmatic about
Yeah.
it, you know, we are a little town with a little
Yes.
board and a little community, I think we can
Okay.
right size. A policy, one of those links had a town that had just a one-page policy, would probably somewhere in between the fully blown out Brunswick and the other town, but I think something that. That speaks to our ability to. Fill vacancies without it being a complete burden
Mhm.
either to the people on the. Committee or board that's being filled or the select board.
And we don't want to run into what we did last year. Where somebody applied and then people were saying, well, wait a minute, you know, how come I didn't know? Or
Mhm. Yes.
why is, you know, the MMA issues about
Mhm.
if somebody is continually reappointed, it just becomes their
Yeah.
right.
And I think we can solve that, even if that was our practice. I think we can solve that by putting a policy in place that we said, okay, this is our policy going forward. And, and how big of a problem that is, like I said, I don't know how many people, if they did not get, if somebody didn't get reappointed to something and they felt bad about it, I don't know how many of them would sue me, like I say, over that high paying job, although somebody might, and they might have rights.
Well,
No.
I think to one of the other points that was made, you know, we need to honor the fact that people are stepping up
Yes,
and make it known that we do and that we respect that.
yes. So Shannon, are you okay with working with a couple of us on this?
I am.
Okay. Um, you know, I would be happy to be one of them. I would be just as happy if two of the other, you guys have a burning desire to do this. Tell me what you think.
I'm happy to review something that a subcommittee comes up with there are other things that I would rather work on than. And I don't have time to be on every committee.
Yeah.
Or
I-
committee of committees.
I'd be happy to be on it after also being on the planning board and knowing how those dynamics work out and knowing people that wanted to be but weren't, so got some background to draw on, so I would be happy to do that.
Me and Tom?
I have commitments in the next
Okay.
few weeks, so,
Okay.
you know, I'd like to see it get off to an energetic
Yeah.
start, and I couldn't help with that.
Tom, would you have some time to devote in the next 3 weeks?
Yes.
Okay. So, do we have a consensus that we'll have a committee of me and Tom and Shannon to work on this and put together and make a report back at our next board meeting? And who knows, maybe we might have a draft of something or some alternatives to look at.
Yeah.
Maybe,
Was that something that
maybe we'll have a, maybe we'll
Henry,
have a 3-column form.
I missed whether or not you asked Lloyd whether he wanted to serve on that subcommittee.
I don't need to, especially if Tom wants to do it. No, I don't need to at all.
I think that's great. I'm supportive of where we are right now.
Okay, so, as far as the policy goes, we're gonna refer that to a committee and work on it and report back at the next board meeting. Agenda item number 8B, discuss the road committee charge. That there, again, Shannon in her rummaging through the office found a road committee charge.
No.
And it is on page 49 of the packet.
I think that the only thing that was glaring to me, is number 7, which states provide regular reports to the select board. I would like to put, more of a solid time frame on that.
Okay,
Time does pass and then what becomes regular and what becomes irregular.
So I don't think we want to triangulate around the town manager, because in the town manager's job description, she is responsible for
Yeah,
road commissioner.
it has
Yeah.
been that way though.
Yes,
So having the road committee advise the select board and report to the select board bypasses Shannon's responsibilities.
Mhm.
Do you know what the date on this one was? Was this the recent road committee
This
or
was
was
the-
this way back?
This was the recent one. I wanna say it was just in this last October or November of 2024.
Hmm.
Is what, at least when I found it in through my emails.
Shannon, what kind of help do you think you need as a road commissioner from a road committee?
I would like to get some good ideas as far as what goes into the roads for developing an RFP. For specifications, I know that we've outlined some criteria for, it's been a while since we've talked about it, but like how thick the shim material is, how thick the overlay is, so whether it's 9 millimeters or I think it's 16. Or what kinds of stone goes down underneath the gravel, and then just getting some of those specifications, I think would be helpful, especially if we're trying to assess the roads. I think that it's also beneficial to kind of get some ideas as far as what the time frame would look like for preparation and when we should start that in conjunction with the RFP going out and when we'd be expected to begin that work, so that way we can backwards plan.
What if we change the words from to advise the select board to advise the town manager?
Well. That's a possibility. Shannon, would you like to make a proposal on a charge that you as the road commissioner would want to help you? What, what charge do you want? How do you want it? What do you want this road committee to do?
I like the responsibilities. I think we added in procurement on here. Just kind of going over what the recommendations or revisions would be to any maintenance requests for bids and proposals.
Mhm.
That wasn't on it originally, so that was added in. Advising the town manager directly would be good, or setting up meetings. When we say regularly, maybe monthly or quarterly, preparing for the upcoming season would be good.
Mhm.
I would much rather get together in December to start preparing an RFP for the spring, rather than the middle of summer or late fall. And so just kind of having like that breakdown, whether it's monthly or quarterly.
I had a number of conversations about this since our last meeting with different folks.
Okay.
And I've updated Shannon on the different conversations that I've had with people as well. It's a bit of a hot topic. There's a buzz behind the scenes.
Yeah.
With a number of folks. I learned things along the lines, Andrew Coral on the planning board. His father apparently worked for the state of Maine for a number of years, supervising road work. And Andrew talked about, well, did you know that there's a declination schedule that the state of Wayne publishes, and they tell you how to take care of your roads over time, and the best way to do this is not to be just patching and filling and doing disaster recovery all the time and chasing after it, but to try to have a longer term plan. I got that same input with the declination schedule from the gentleman who plows our roads in town, and talked about it. And he said, and we actually spent hours driving around all over town, looking at all the roads. I saw things that I hadn't seen before. So it's fascinating. Point is, there are a number of people, and if you know Brian Moore, and now he lives up here full time, but he'd been a part-time resident, and has experience doing a lot of road work elsewhere. So he said, I'd be happy to contribute from a knowledge sharing perspective. So there's a core group of people that have good background here. And every single one of them is saying, you really need a long-term plan and not a year-to-year plan. Because in the least, you should have a hot chart, right? A temperature chart. All town roads, which ones are red, which ones are amber, which ones are green, and then prioritize and be able to start budgeting in that way. But the more effort that goes into maintaining your roads well, you spend significantly less money than when you're only covering things that are now urgent and red. So it'll take us a while to do it, right? The first step might be hiring someone there are companies that come in and they will assess all of your roads and give you your heat map. Right? And they'll say, here are your hotspots right now, here are the things that are gonna be a problem 2, 3, 4 years from now, and here's what's okay. And that, if we had something along those lines, whether we put it together ourselves to the best of our ability, or we got a consultant to give it to us, we would have a picture that you can put up on the wall and say, this is what we're facing. Right? So I would suggest something along those lines, whether we do it ourselves and have a longer term outlook, versus year to year.
Did we not at one point have just that?
We had this, that, it was especially in with the money we borrowed when we went into
Right.
debt.
Yeah.
And through the time, and we saw those decline curves. You were given copies of those,
Yep.
and we looked at those things.
How old?
But I think,
Oh, this was a few years ago.
does this committee exist now, or isn't there a road committee, or are you thinking of?
It's not formal. I met with,
Yeah.
3 individuals over
Okay.
there, back in March, and that's when we had discussed, this, but we haven't discussed it since.
Well, I like the ideas that have been given to us, and with Tom's ideas and everything else, should be very easy to put together the team and go to it, but.
To be clear, other people's ideas, it just came out
Other
of Tom's
people's,
mouth,
okay,
so
thank
let's,
you. Other
let's
people's
give
ideas.
credit to some other folks.
But, and I'm especially interested in what I, same question I asked last week. Or 2 weeks ago, are we set? To answer the question of him being unable to plow. One, stretch of the road out there, Strickland Ferry Road, or which one is it that you're unable to plow?
Green True, Bessie Road, Morrison.
Yeah.
or
Green
Harts
True.
Chapel,
Well,
Bessie.
Strickland Ferry.
there was one that you were just unable to plow altogether, right?
Green True is falling apart.
Yeah.
Has anybody besides Tom looked at it yet?
I don't know, but whoever's gonna be planning this is gonna have to consider that we may have to make some real quick changes in order to do it, but some of them still go to, well, they help fast once they begin to go, don't they? So, yeah,
Well, so to correct these roads that you can't plow,
Not saying it.
What would-
can't, but
what would you,
there's some real issues out there.
okay, is it your opinion that the roads you're speaking of need a reclaim and pave?
They need to be grounded and paved.
That's what I mean. Is that the same as a reclaim? That's,
It's a little different, but it could be
What-
reclaimed, I guess.
what do you mean by
Full depth
ground?
reclamation is what I think they call. So they have a big grinder.
Yeah, they grind up the
it all
pavement and they
up,
use the
pavement.
stuff as a base, right?
Yeah.
They grind up the pavement, they use it as a base, and then they put a base coat and maybe a wearing coat. Do we do the 12-6 and the 9? I mean, that's a mixed design. correct?
Qualified,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, do we do like a 12 base coat and a 9 wearing coat, or do we, okay? And so that's how you would do, if you were what you're talking about on Bessie Road, say, for example, would be a reclaim and a 12-6 base and a 9 top coat.
You don't need the 9 top coat
Okay.
right away.
All right.
Yeah.
Now, is that something that can be done this year? Before the,
That's a phone call that somebody needs to make
Yeah.
to a contractor.
yeah, okay,
So no, we need to get some experts onto a road committee
yes,
to help us with
that with the,
expedite an
with an-
assessment before we start trying to make decisions about.
yeah, but we need to also
fixing
put an
whatever that
RFP,
was.
we need to put an RFP together. And then decide what roads need to be done, but we need to figure out terms for
it's
it.
been done.
There's things that I don't understand about what I've seen on RFPs in the past. I don't know why if I have a reclaim, let's say I have a reclaim and I have a 2-inch 12-6 base coat. And I say I'm doing Bessie Road and it's so many feet long and so many feet wide. And then I'm paying by tons of asphalt. That makes no sense to me. Why don't I pay by square foot?
You pay the reclaim by square foot, but not the asphalt.
Why don't I
Asphalt's
pay the whole,
always
why don't
by-
I pay the whole thing by square foot?
Always by ton. It's the
Well, I don't
industry
think the
standard.
state,
I don't make
okay, I
it.
don't think the state
That's-
does it that way, but maybe.
Yes, they do.
Okay.
To put an
So,
RFP,
that's what we
though,
need.
we have to have the requirements. To get the requirements,
Yeah.
we need an expert or
Yeah.
a group of experts to advise us on a way.
The state has a big public, municipal website that has all the information, it's already done.
So our group of experts would know that. If we can get back to getting a road committee and a charge for a road committee. And use that expertise instead of trying to make this stuff up. So,
Also, can I say one more thing?
well, just a second, there were people, Shannon, there were people that you've already spoken to from the previous road committee.
Yes,
Were they interested in staying on?
I believe so,
So how many people would we need to add to that committee in order to
two.
do? For you to have enough depth of knowledge to do whatever this charge is?
Yes.
So one of the questions now is, since we don't have a policy for committees, are we going to just kind of step aside on that one so we
Yes.
can put this
Yes.
together?
I think we need to man this one
Yeah.
while the policy's being decided.
Yeah.
And, I don't know if we're looking at a permanent committee or, is this gonna be do we envision something what do you envision, Shannon, a permanent committee?
So it's.
You've been asked your thoughts on that,
Yes,
so.
so it currently has a list of a term with 1 year. So I think that that would be enough time to work on the appointments
Yeah.
policy and then also be able to serve the purpose that it needs to. And then you can look at reappointment next year. My only recommendations on this would be to change advise the select board to assist the town manager. And then under reporting, work with the town manager to provide regular reports to the select board.
That's what I'm looking for.
No
That
circumvention.
would be at strategic points in the process, which need not be quarterly, monthly, or anything, that just a point is reached when you make and you're ready to do it,
Right.
then when we've done it, reports, or we only need 2 reports a year.
Yeah, so I would recommend that the select board accept this pending those minor changes. And then we could go forward with setting up scheduled times for meetings monthly and accept applications for 2 other personnel to join.
Do you have any idea whether there are a couple of people who are ready to get on that
He
committee?
just gave us,
Yeah.
he's.
Yeah.
Brian Moore.
They're-
from Convention.
Oh, so they're interested.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Thank you, sorry.
And I had told Andrew Gorel the other night I was volunteering him, and he was like, well, I don't know, and I said, I'm volunteering you to be on that board. Because if you can reach back into state level and anything we need to reference, great. So that's a possibility.
Okay, so what exactly are we changing, Shannon, on this thing?
She's
So
got it
the
written.
first part, instead of advise the select board, assist the town manager.
So this is in the purpose?
Yeah.
Yep.
Mhm.
Oh, to assist the town manager, okay.
Mhm.
And under number 7, reporting, just out in the very beginning, work with the town manager to provide regular reports to the select board. And
And then under authority, you wanna change that also, right?
yes,
Mhm.
And then, you've got select board again in the term section, if you need to change it.
Well,
We would,
but
we
the
would still
reappointment
be
would be by the
appointed.
select board, I believe.
Yeah.
So we're making changes to the purpose, to 7 under responsibilities, and to the authority to make the assistance and reports to the town manager, road commissioner, rather than to the select board, correct?
Should we say, the committee serves in an advisory capacity to the town manager acting as road commissioner? Is that
Uh,
important?
I think we could put that in there, I think it's fine to the town manager, it's fine to the town manager as road commissioner. It would be fine to say to the road commissioner. How do you want to be referred to, Shannon? Town manager, road commissioner,
I think town manager is fine.
town manager?
Shannon, did you want to add another bullet that speaks to specifications? Or is it buried enough in the procurement, the bids section?
I think under the procurement, I think that encompasses any other recommendations. I wouldn't want to get too specific because I don't know the specifics, and that's what I'd be hoping that they could help me with. But it does highlight the request for bids or proposals. So their review.
Do we need to make a motion?
Yes, Move that we adopt the charge for the road committee with the modifications to the purpose paragraph, item 7 under responsibilities, and the authority paragraph to reflect that the committee advises and serves the town manager rather than the select board directly.
Second.
Any other discussion on the board? Public comment? Yes,
I would just suggest that normally if a select board appoints a committee, that the committees are responsible to the select board. And that in this circumstance, I would expect that the town manager would have the authority to establish their own committee to serve the purposes that you identified.
okay. Any other comments? Yes,
It's not exactly pertaining to that, but I believe we bought a program called RSMS.
well, let's worry about the charge right now, and then have to come back under public comments and tell us whatever you want. Okay, based on that, are there any other comments or questions, comments, discussion by the board members, thoughts? Okay, let's vote. Who votes to, all in favor? Okay, motion passes 5-0. Shannon, you'll make those changes to the charge?
Mhm.
And are you going to try to recruit some additional board members to
I'll post it
propose
up.
to us for appointment?
I'll post it up and send it out over the email.
Okay.
Yeah, post it online.
On your form, whatever form you use for this, I would suggest that we ask them if they are a principal in or associated with any road contractor that would be bidding on or working on our projects.
Conflict of interest.
Okay? Okay. Agenda item 8E. Consider real estate appraisal proposal for 100-acre wood property. Shannon, would you tell us about this, please?
So all of the select board members have received a copy of the one proposal that we've sent out, or received, excuse me. The proposal was sent out about 2 weeks ago with a return date of last Friday. And of the 9 that I have either contacted, whether it was through email or leaving a voicemail, I heard back from 2, emailed me back. One stated they declined due to a current personal and professional commitments. Another one emailed back saying that they don't have availability at this time. One mailed back the proposal, which you have received. And I hadn't made that public yet with the option for the select board if they want to put it back out for a second request for proposal. That's an option. What I was looking at with this one, they had the total fixed fee price in there, and then but what it included was only an estimate of 4 hours in length. What they had assessed for the time spent with town officials to explain and answer any questions regarding the report. And then what kind of stood out to me was the right to charge additional fees to cover labor and expenses in addition to those that basic assessment. There wasn't anything else that really stood out. Just included the resume and previous experiences. I think that we could benefit a little bit more from if I could take some more time and contact them and actually have a conversation with them a little bit more about what it really entails. Lloyd did send me the updated requirements of what would really go into the proposal, and so I don't know if they had enough time really to review all of the documents. I did receive some from the Conservation Commission as far as the boundary survey. And that was a few pages of just outlining the boundary. And so I don't know if they've had enough time yet to assess that. I would recommend that we put it back out for bid.
To this whole To whom?
I had 9 people, like
Yeah.
I said, on the list.
Yeah.
So I would reach back out and try to work a little bit more diligently on
Okay,
contacting them.
sure, that those are very good then.
Yeah,
Plus you have more questions for this applicant or.
For example, they assume the meeting to be no more than 4 hours, but they're 2 hours away
mhm.
Well,
each direction, so that leaves no time for meeting.
well, yeah, and but that was to meet after the appraisal is
Yes,
complete,
yeah.
to explain and answer any questions regarding the report. And yeah, we can find out about travel time. Are there anything that you would change in the request for proposals?
I'd have to go back and review it. I haven't had a lot of time to look it over right yet. But I do know that we have a local appraiser that is not currently licensed in the state, but is retired. That wouldn't mind going over it and reviewing and helping review the proposal itself, the request for proposals, to make sure that it's thorough.
I would just like to make one thing, I didn't know it until today that I picked this up. And that's my fault because of not getting the full package, but. Early in my consulting career, I was a competitor of these guys. And I lost business to them, that went on for 5 or 6 years and then they haven't, and in fact, one time I was suing them. Or I wasn't suing, I was working for somebody who was suing. And if you consider that to be a conflict of interest, should have anything further to say. But I agree with the idea that we go out for more, maybe perhaps a little more time to respond because the school company are gonna get tired of this, but I think there gotta be cheaper ways.
Well, okay, if we wanna go back out, that's fine. One suggestion that I have is, or a point to consider. Sometimes I have the feeling that we have a tendency as a town to go out with a proposal and not award a contract, or not award a contract to the low bidder. And if that's gonna be our policy, pretty soon we're gonna find out that there's nobody that wants to do business with us. You know, if the request for proposal was deficient, or if we didn't give enough time, or if there's a good reason, based on whoever you want to consult with, then I would say go out. But if we're just going out because we were looking for a cheaper price, I mean, we can do that too. Well, I don't know if you go out and Sewell comes back. If you went out to me, I might come back and say, okay, it's $9,600 instead of 76.
Are you satisfied with the proposal that it does what the proposal?
Well, I think you could ask for clarification, but I think if we believe that the request for proposal could be better. Or there could be more information provided that would get additional interest, then I would support going out again. If it's just, if we're gonna put the same thing out again, you know.
Yeah,
I think,
or a longer time
Yeah.
for them to complete the work, which seems to be one of the big
Well,
things.
we didn't
They
give them
can't-
any time to complete the work. We said, you
Did we
tell us
say-
how long it takes.
Didn't we say 2 months?
I don't think we did we?
What do we say 2 months? Did they say 2 months or do we say
No.
2 months?
They said 2 months.
Oh, okay.
Shannon, how long did you give them to respond?
Just under 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And do you have any feedback from the folks that did not respond?
What was that?
You have one that said they didn't have time to do it? You-
I had the 2 responses that I got. One, said that they declined due to current personal and professional commitments. And then the other one said that they don't have availability at this time.
but only 3 out of 9.
Yes.
And how did you communicate with the other 9? Like, how was the bid sent out?
So I sent it out to emails for all the ones that I had emails for, and those that I did not have emails for, I called and left a voicemail. And then if they chose to call me back, they did, but they did not. I didn't receive back any phone calls.
So you ended up going out, to how many when you were done?
So I sent it out to 9.
To none, you did, okay.
Mhm.
And, you know, I would think 2 weeks was kind of short, but, we had all these letters that people had given us saying that they were willing to
Yeah.
do this for, and I said, well, if everybody,
Yeah.
if you have all, if everybody's already lined up and said they're willing to do it, send them the request for proposal and get their proposals.
That's what baffles me,
Yeah.
that two people,
Yeah.
I've talked to them, we're looking for 60 days, and they
Yeah.
said, sure, and, then they don't respond, so.
But it would, I don't mind going out again. If that's what you want, if you think that'll be, if you think it'll help.
I'm not sure I would know how to evaluate this. I just don't have the expertise. It's always nice to have two proposals in hand, so
Well,
you
yeah.
can compare.
Sure.
So I think that I would advocate seeing if another 2 or 3 weeks would give us one more
Yeah.
group. Other than that, you know, what I see here looks fine. I mean, I have questions because I don't understand it.
Mm.
I'm not sure what the 76 or 100 and 2,600 represents
Well,
exactly.
it represents the basic appraisal as of a certain date, whatever date that is.
Mm.
And then the idea was that we were gonna deed it out get that brought up to date to a date that would, be the completion of negotiations or
Right.
the approach with the last of the people.
And does the 4 hours represent all of the time they'll give us, and what would they charge if?
It
We
only
needed more
represents,
time.
it only represents what they would do for an act or a post-project meeting,
Yeah.
Yeah.
To explain,
and we may not even need it.
Yeah.
We may not even need that.
I'd suggest, since I do this all the time as well, give them, this is our last meeting this month. I'd give them to whatever timeframe we need before our second meeting next month.
Mhm.
Don't try to go another 2 weeks, because it'll be the same situation. Somebody will say, oh, now I'd be starting over again with only 5 working days, 6 working days. Whenever you would need it to be able to say, okay, I've got this, hopefully 2 or 3 or 4. So that we can revisit this and talk about it at the middle of next month, whenever the second,
The 19th.
okay.
I think Ken had something he was trying to get
Give them a
on.
little bit more time. We don't want to push it off to September, I'm sure, but
Yeah, we don't.
give them a little bit of time to work with. They've got people on vacation, small companies. And hopefully we have more to work with at that point.
But let's, I'd like to review the whole request for a proposal to make sure that it's complete, and also this person for Rhode Island could be good to have review it.
So, yeah, I haven't seen this, this is the first time I've seen this RFP. But I think the price section, just scanning through it, you might have left the door open. You
Mhm.
didn't really say it was give us a fixed price bid.
Mhm.
And then there's an opening with the future related services, and I can't tell some of the proposal until tonight either. I mean, the proposal they sent in. But I think if you want it to be a fixed price bid, it's a fine tune that price section.
well, if you get a fixed price bid for the appraisal report, and you do have a fixed price bid for the appraisal report, so it's that price. What they're saying is if you want additional services, if they're gonna have to come in and testify in a proceeding
Yeah.
with the prior landowners about their appraisal because it's being contested,
Yeah.
then they're gonna charge you an hourly fee for that. That's why the future related
I
services,
understand that.
huh?
I understand that, but
Yeah.
it's not clear that it's a fixed, if they
provide separate prices for an initial appraisal and report. The price for all, which includes the price for all, that's the price for the initial appraisal and report. That's the price for all services necessary to appraise the property, provide the appraisal report showing the value of the property, and meet with town officials to explain and answer any questions regarding the report. This particular proposal gave you a $7,600 fixed price for that, with the caveat that the meeting to explain and answer questions would be no more than 4 hours. If
We
it was
won't know
more
how
than
to-
4 hours, it'd be extra.
We won't know at this point, how to be more specific with
Yeah.
time expected after, right?
Yeah,
So,
but, and the option to update, it, all I'm suggesting is you did get a fixed price. And then item 3 is the one that's open-ended. You got a 7,600 fixed price for a 2,000, whatever it is, fixed price for II. And future related services, which they just said they do on an hourly basis. It would have been nice if they gave us a schedule. Was there a price per hour on that? I don't think so, Shannon, was it? No.
that's it. So,
Um,
for example, the 2 hour travel time is
It's,
still included in that 7,600.
well,
Well-
it assumes that the travel time is on top of that, otherwise it would mean nothing.
They haven't said anything about travel time. They said the 7,600 includes 4 hours of meetings with us.
But
I assume that means we're gonna sit across the table for
Right.
4 hours and talk to them.
After
Uh,
they've completed it and everything's done.
Yes, ma'am.
Got it. Okay, thank
But-
you.
But it is only one proposal, and and there certainly is a benefit of comparing
Yeah.
other ones. And if that, if we believe that we should resolicit, I would notify, this offer that we're not making any award and we're gonna send it out for a longer period of time, if that's what we choose to do.
So I think we need to decide, are we extending the date, or are we, in which case this person does not have to reapply?
Mhm.
Or are we rejecting their bid and going back out and refining the details on the RFP? And the reason I raised the question about, refining that was Shannon had said she was uncomfortable with the time and materials and some other stuff, but
Mhm.
it's hard to read materials on the fly and participate in
Yeah,
the conversation, so.
No, I understand.
Do you think that an improvement of the RFP would be desirable?
Say that again?
An improvement in the RFP itself would be desirable?
I'll have to look at it and figure out what I need to do. I mean, as far as
Yeah.
the hourly rate, travel time, more of a fixed price bid. And I'd like to kind of get some insight, I think, from maybe some of our local personnel and see what they might,
I'm supposed to see you Thursday afternoon. Do you want to do this? Do you want to talk about that then?
what is it?
I'm supposed to see you Thursday afternoon, right? Do you
Mhm.
want to have me talk to you then?
Yes,
Okay, why don't we do it then? Yeah,
Okay.
And I've
we'll
done
review
this-
the RFP at that time, because I was gonna be in there anyway.
I've been on the receiving end lots of times where a company will say, we're extending the date, we have some additional information. And it's all fine. And so you let even someone who might have submitted already know, we're gonna extend the date. We need some additional clarification, specifically, it might be a rate schedule. You say, right now it's very open-ended, we reserve the right to charge you more money. I'd like to know what that schedule might be based upon an hourly rate. And I think there were some more pieces of information too. You get inputs from Lloyd, from the other person who might tighten it up a little bit and
Mhm.
make it easier on the bidding side. If you're on the bidding side, you'd love to have all that information. And now, okay, now we don't have to add it with unknowns.
Right.
So. Yeah, extend it. No penalty to the guy who submitted. Thank you very much for submitting.
Yeah.
But we, on our side, we needed to modify some things, so we're gonna give us more time if you'd like to give a better bid.
Okay, so if we're going to modify things, then I would suggest that our response should be, we're canceling this RFP without award, and we'll be sending out a modified RFP.
Fair enough. We could use that language, sure. Right, I'd be fine with that. We're gonna issue a revised RFP. Mhm. And some of
Now
those
we
folks
just
who never,
glean a little bit more information from Sewell.
Yeah.
right. But
At-
some
at
of the
a
folks who never
minimum.
called you back may then say, okay, this is more realistic. We've got time to do this now. Let's call her back.
So. Does that comport with your recommendations, Shannon?
That's fine.
Okay. Do we want to make a motion that this proposal, that there's no award made on this proposal and the RFP will be reissued with more information?
I was gonna use the same word, motion to reissue the RFP to replace the one that's already gone out, with an extended date for submission.
Second.
Set, yeah.
Further discussion?
Yeah, Shannon, one thing you might want to consider, is either getting contact information for, they're supposed to describe where they've done this work before. I saw it in here somewhere. Either get contact information or ask for references.
You probably see the same thing I do. I just put references we provided. That's somewhere down the line, I want official request. Because you have to request them sometimes. I check with somebody before I give a reference.
Any other discussion, board members? Public comment on this matter? Okay, let's vote. All in favor? Motion passes 5-0. Item 9, new business. Consider approving appointment of Lynn Trapanese
Japanese?
as tax collector treasurer.
So move.
Tell us about this, Shannon.
So this is basically just a housekeeping appointment, we just hired a new tax collector treasurer. She started on Monday. She did some, basic paperwork yesterday and started diving into the tax, collector and treasurer manual. And then today, she already began training on the front desk with me. So this week, I told her the first line of business is to, start looking at the tax lien process, as we are coming up on that with the 30-day notices. And then, after that, we're gonna be focusing on the, current state of our finances.
Which is why I chuckled when I saw this, as I read it, I'm going, isn't this the woman that I met earlier today?
Yeah.
When she was introduced to me as the tax collector treasurer. So yeah, this would fall into the housekeeping category.
Thank you and congratulations.
Yeah.
Is that a full-time
Yes.
appointment job?
Mhm.
Okay. Any other questions? Anybody would like to make a motion?
Move to approve appointment of Lynn Trapanese to serve as tax collector treasurer.
Board discussion? Public comment? Let's vote. All in favor? Motion to appoint Lynn passes 5-0. Item business 9B, review the expense report for FY 24-25 as of 6/30/25. Shannon, it's all yours.
So, about a week ago, I think, I sent out a copy of the expense revenue summary report as of June 30th. So some of the highlights, going down through there, you'll see under, revenues, we were still, we brought in 111% of that. And, so with our expenses, we still were positive, in the positive, for about 84,000. However, you did just approve warrant 57, so a lot of those expenses will go back onto this report. What I focused on Monday was, we did, the rollover of our budget, and I closed out our budget on July 1st. But Monday, I had to go through and, update all of our accounts payables, so that way any receipts that we did receive fell back under 2025. And then just kind of working through, some of the other, housekeeping things with Trio and that system. We still need to, move in the reserve accounts. I created 2 accounts. I created the Conservation Commission account, updated some of the things under our budget as they were presented by the townspeople at the annual town meeting. But kind of going back down through, I mean, still trying to get a good grasp on where we're at with all of our expenses and revenues, and I'm hoping that we can kind of do that with our new tax collector treasurer in the upcoming weeks. And I can dive into that some more with the town manager's report. One of the things with general assistance, what we found under the social services, there was one additional item in there that kind of put us over budget for general assistance. We definitely didn't have, we definitely went over budget by about 3,800 on general assistance this year, but a large chunk of that was actually attributed to a PFAS testing. And so that was something Hazel had brought up previously. And so that got accounted for under that. And so we've got to go back at some point and see where that should have come out of. So, I mean, it did increase our budget for that line in this upcoming year, but so diving into that and understanding where those funds should have come from in this budget. I'm gonna think of anything else for roads. It's still reflected. We still had a positive of $114,950 unspent on road maintenance. A lot of that was going to be spent on the preparation of the roads and the tree removal and brush removal for anything like on Pond Road or Green Tree Road or Bessie Road, Strickland Ferry Road, those ones, any culvert maintenance that needed to get done, so that would be coming out of there. What we did account for in the town meeting was to roll over any additional funds into the road reserve account, I believe.
That's for next year.
But, oh, right, yes, I think that was
But
also,
the road reserves are lapsing, I believe. The road reserve funds are lapsing this year.
I'll have to.
We could check that out, but I think that's the case. I don't
Okay.
know that for certain.
All right. All right. I'll confirm that. And then, have to get back to you once I get all the finals on everything. But were there any questions regarding the expense revenue summary report that you saw?
So it needs to be updated anyway, right?
Yep.
So maybe we can revisit it again after that and probably, it's not in our packet, right?
No, it's
Okay.
not.
We need to have actual physical copies to look at
Okay.
next time.
Mm-hmm.
All right, item 9C,
Yep.
discuss performance objectives, goals and priorities for town manager. Is that something we want to address tonight? Or,
I was going to ask if we could put that off a little bit.
I think that would be good. So one of the things I did in preparation for this, I did go onto MMA and I looked at some templatey things. One of the things we might want to talk about just quickly before we table this is, you know, as style of evaluation. They have a salaried format, which is it's scaled, you know, 9, 10 means this, 6 to 8 means this. So I don't find that particularly helpful for really evaluating sort of a town manager. They do have a manager performance review, which is more narrative and speaks more about manager skills and gives again, well, you can say outstanding, above, meets, below, set their own scale. It's not as numeric. The other one is numeric. You put the numbers in and then you add them up and average them. And I'm like, well, that actually is, you know, do you want to be 43.1%? I don't think so, whatever that means. So I think as we pull this together, are we comfortable going with more of a narrative? With a rating assessment? Or do you want to go to something that's very mathematically based? My recommendation would be, let's go narrative.
I think a performance report, you'd want to have narrative. Well, on this item, Hazel, I think this was one of your years on the to-dos or on. the
It was.
Loose ends, the loose ends.
It's one of the loose
Yeah,
ends, and I said
so-
I'd do some pre-work
so,
on it,
yeah.
some of which involved
Yeah.
talking to Shannon, and Shannon was gonna send me some stuff.
But
Which is why we haven't really made progress on it, because
But here's the question, is the item here to establish objectives and goals and priorities for her? As opposed to coming up with an evaluation or matrix or evaluation, for, an evaluation form?
Right,
But it
is it
says-
prescriptive or evaluative?
I just wondered what I'm just looking at it. It says discuss performance objectives, goals and priorities for the town manager. Were we just gonna sit down and tell her what we wanted her to do? Or, or,
So part of it is based on the contract, because we do have
Yeah.
to meet with her
Yes, yes, ma'am.
and we need to set up, what our expectations are so that we can then come back and do an evaluation about it. But in order to have that conversation, we just need to
Yeah.
think about what the framework is.
Okay.
Then we might need to decide what the content is that goes into it. So I think that gets to the priorities is more the actual work that Shannon's doing. We've got a long list of stuff. And there's probably things that we're expecting
Yeah.
Shannon to do that we might want to prioritize,
Yeah.
I would say. Getting the office up to full staff would be a number one priority. Check that box. Well done. So some of
Yeah,
it will be a
so-
little, a little
but,
sort of retro.
yeah, but it's,
That's what setting the priorities are, is
yeah,
what we
but-
wanted to focus on.
but for example, I think we should catch up and have and it is as an example. We need to catch up our website and put in a process to have it updated as things occur. For example, there's no meeting minutes on our town website
Mhm.
that I can find. We might have some things that we want to do as far as supplemental reports on the town's finances. Maybe something like cash flow reports, and so what I'm asking is, when we come back to this, are those the type of things we're looking for this agenda item, or is there something else?
Yeah,
Does
that's,
fit in?
that speaks to the priorities. What are her
Okay.
priorities in the next year?
Okay. Okay,
Well, Shannon's in an interesting position right now, because you will continue to be a bit of a player manager, right? Because now you've got a staff that you've got to be overseeing. So whatever we put together, we almost have to be thinking what we need to be done, not necessarily by Shannon.
yeah,
You've got to be thinking about, okay, where does that fall into
yeah,
my direct reports?
yeah,
And this is work.
yes, yeah, and at least from my perspective, and it's just my perspective is, this is all stuff that needs to be done by Shannon. And then
Yeah.
she has these people that are working for her, and she manages them, and they provide her what she needs to
Yeah.
give us what we need.
Yeah,
I-
player manager's tough.
Yeah.
I agree with you, though. I'm excited to get down to what do we need Shannon to do
To do,
for us?
Yes,
ASAP, let's lay this out so
Well,
we know what we can start working on ASAP.
Also agree. And
Um,
what's getting us over the hump? And then what's maintenance?
yeah,
Because the over the hump is the backlog of things we wish we had, like a website, and then it's just getting it maintained. So the over the hump is a big pile probably, and hopefully things steady out over the next 2 quarters.
Well, hopefully now she's up to staff, she'll have some time to
Right.
do some of the sort of.
Everybody-
Yeah.
Learning. So, I think the request, yes, is that we not go any further with this agenda item
okay,
tonight,
Right.
because we need to
Yeah.
do some work and that was something that Shannon and I.
and you can tell Shannon what agenda you want to put on in the future.
Yeah,
I mean,
and we've got,
we're not saying it can't come up next time, or just for some future time. Or do we want it to come up in 3 weeks? That's our next meeting.
I think she and I
Yeah,
need
you
to get
guys get
together
together.
and figure out if we've
Yeah.
got something to put on the agenda for
Yeah.
next
Okay,
time.
item 10, are we done with this one? With
Yep.
9?
Yep.
C, item 10, town manager report.
Okay, awesome. Well, as we just kind of discussed a little bit, the staff, we are now going to be fully staffed. We had a bookkeeper start on Thursday. She came in for a few hours and just kind of learned the accounts payable, of which we ended up having to kind of redo on Monday because of the fiscal year breakout. But she's gonna get used to the accounts payable, and then we're gonna start focusing on payroll processing this week. And then again next week and everything. So she'll be coming in about 1 day a week right now. And then we've also hired the tax collector treasurer, and I've got a town clerk starting next week. Now with both the tax collector and the town clerk, they will be starting training next week, Maine Municipal Association and the Town and City Tax Collector and Treasurer Association, as well as the Maine Town and City Clerks Association. They have multiple trainings next week, and there's also a Moses training on Wednesday, I believe, down in Freeport. So I'd like to get them both in all on that, since the front desk is pretty consuming. So I will be working and training our tax collector on the front desk this week, as well as diving into the tax collector duties. Next week, I'll be kind of covering down on the front desk for the town clerk and doing that work in addition to their training. And then hopefully we'll get our clerk in and working on the desk later on in the week. And so our town clerk is Delaney Russell. That's a Wayne resident. Our bookkeeper is Tegan Audette, and her and her husband are building a house here in Wayne. And then we also have, so Lynn Trappanese is a Winthrop resident and also has family here in Wayne. So all very heavily invested in the community, and I think it'll be a great dynamic, and looking forward to working with all of them. So aside from that, the Strawberry Festival was this past weekend, and I heard it was wonderful, and so I wanted to say thank you to the farmers market and the Sustain Wayne, the group that put that all together. They did a wonderful job. It seemed nice to see a lot of people there. So many, in fact, that Pond Road ended up being blocked out on both sides of the road. So for next year, that's something that I'll be putting out some signs for, so that way vehicles can get through and we don't have any of those issues. And then other than that, I think our next meeting is August 5th. And so I'm planning for that. But there's also another thing happening this weekend. I'll turn it over to the select board. That's all I have.
Good.
Board member reports, Lloyd,
Nothing, thank you.
Mary Ann?
I just note that the Solid Waste and Recycling Committee put on a hazardous waste retrieval at the transfer center this past weekend. We had, I believe, 11 people come in from town. Several people didn't make it. It went very smoothly, unlike last year, in which reports where I was not there, we had backups and a lot of confusion. So the committee made some changes in terms of how we were going to do this. What I'd like to see next year is that we advertise it in a bigger way, because certainly it seems that it's organized in a way that will handle a lot more people. And it brings in a lot of stuff that would normally potentially get just thrown around or thrown out, gas and oil and tires and old batteries. So it was very successful.
Hazel?
Nothing?
Tom?
Echo some comments on Strawberry Festival. It was interesting. You have all these people coming into Wayne and asking questions. I'm at the information booth because my wife's there, so I'm helping my wife in the information booth year after year. But they ask questions about Sustain Wayne. People are interested, but even Lloyd walked up to me at one point and said, because I had a Sustain Wayne t-shirt, can you tell me anything about Sustain Wayne? Do you remember my answer?
Yeah, I don't know.
No, wait, but I said, I know it's better than the alternative.
Yeah, something like
And he
that.
walked away.
Yeah.
He left me there. But my point in that is, with such a big event on an annual basis, that I think we want to continue, we'd love to see it get bigger. We should probably have a narrative on how Sustain Wayne fits into the overall town plan. What are the talking points on that? So.
One thing about the Strawberry Festival is I don't think we ever got anything about what's gonna happen or approved anything on it. Did we? Did you? Nope.
Kind of curious
That's the-
about,
that's
are there
the- that's
liability
something to think about.
concerns? How are we running
But,
this? Is it
Who's responsible?
sanctioned or whatever we might call it? But yeah, I had some questions myself as it's getting bigger and
yeah, I'm
bigger.
not, I'm not putting myself out there to say you shouldn't have a Strawberry Festival.
No, I wouldn't want that.
Yeah.
Wouldn't want that to be the
But-
case, but
But
One of the reasons I figured
we
it.
didn't have, for example, you were talking about the road being blocked off, well, we maybe need to have some information and some sort of approvals, maybe sometime between now and then, we might get a special events ordinance in place that addresses that. Something like, should there be, there was some issue about what's gonna happen with the cardboard boats. After it was already advertised, it's, and it was, well, tell everybody they gotta take their boat away. Well, that ain't happening. If we're gonna plan this, we have to plan a dumpster and a mechanism for the festival sponsors to clean that stuff up and put it in the dumpster. And I think they ultimately did, but the dumpster was on the other side of the mill pond. I don't know how handy that was for them, but we maybe wanna, get some information next year and maybe sometime in the next year, come up with a special events ordinance.
It's remarkably well done,
Yes, it is.
but,
No, it was nice. It's
Probably
good. I'm
should.
not saying there's anything wrong with it. It's just,
A little bit of.
I don't know.
Post-evaluation is.
yeah,
Adolescence, capsule lesson.
I don't know if anybody asked anything about closing roads, and in the first couple of years, Aaron would go around and tell everybody, we're closing Memorial Park Lane for the Strawberry Festival. And I don't know that we did any of that this year. So between now and the next one, we should just think about, what we should do, if anything.
Yeah.
And maybe the answer is nothing. It's going fine. Doesn't need to have anything done with it. That could be.
There is one other thing, and I think I mentioned this before, for the next meeting. I'd like to see us do something with, I got a memorandum from the code officer about marijuana and what to do about it. And whether maybe that should be done by the planning board first, but, somebody needs to react to that and come up with an approach, because they're saying we're gonna have marijuana things. Marijuana grows and things all over the place, and maybe we don't want that, and we ought to have some, is the planning board?
there
dealt
are
with
other
that?
towns that do have ordinances, about establishments.
Yeah,
But that's what you're talking about, businesses that are all over the place already, right? Not in our town yet.
right,
but-
yeah,
The town has to approve it. You can't have, now there is one category. That has to do with medical that
Yes,
the town does.
Medical or
I'd have to look it up and see,
Yeah.
but most of these things that you don't have in your town unless your town has approved them.
I'd like to know what's the pro, what the answer is.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
That's enough.
it was one of the items that has been on the docket for when would we look at that and what's going on?
Mhm.
And the person who shares some good perspective typically is Chip, the town code enforcement officer, but he's got exposure to multiple towns.
Yeah.
and So we've gotten some of that information, but yeah, that was one that I know was going to be.
So we can wait to hear from the planning board then when we need to know about it.
Well, I'll probably give him a little kick and say, hey, there's a question now, so.
Maybe if you do that, you could give the planning board on behalf of the select.
We could put something on the agenda for the meeting, that's the next meeting,
Yeah.
which is 3 weeks from now. That provides us some information from MMA on the cannabis regulation regime. And what exactly a town can do and what it can't do and what it must approve. And we can do that for next time. And then we can see what the rules are and what we
Yeah.
would do
Yeah.
with it. Good. Okay, we're, public comments. 11 minutes short of 2 hours. What do we do for the next 11 minutes?
Motion
I
to
know.
adjourn?
All right, all in
Second,
favor? Motion passes 5-0.